my girl, Cheryl James, and I literally cannot wait for you all to get to know her. Cheryl, will you please tell the audience a little bit about yourself and specifically something they will not read in your bio or on your website?
Okay, so Cheryl James from CL James Consulting. I have spent 27 years in corporate, turning big business chaos into cash for Fortune 100 companies. I started my company 5 years ago to help small business owners really scale, get out of their own way, and focus on their zone of genius. The one thing you will not hear in my bio or on my website is that I have been married for 28 years next Friday to my best friend, and we just love to travel.
That's one thing we have in common is this will be actually 29 years for us this year.
Awesome.
Oh, yes, isn't it great to be married to your bestie? It's like
Oh gosh.
lifelong slumber party, right?
Yes.
Oh God, well, Cheryl, and for those of you all who are listening and meeting Cheryl for the first time, she and I go way back and can't wait to kind of share with you all a little bit of the things that I've learned from her and she's done for my business. I've been one of her clients and but I'd love for them to hear a little bit about your confidence story. So, I talk a lot about confidence compared to skill set as it pertains to sales. So tell us a little bit about how you have kind of stepped into confidence, or have you always been confident as it pertains to selling for your own business?
I think I've stepped into it more as I've gotten older, but I've always had a spirit of confidence. Growing up, I remember I was kind of a nerd. I was a numbers person. So you had to be confident because you didn't really fit in. Like you were the odd one, like the nerdy chick with the glasses. So I had to get really confident really fast. And when I got to corporate America, I prided myself on always being in the room, the person in the room who knew the most about that particular topic. And that breeds confidence. And I do that in my business. So when someone's talking about a CRM, oh, we can have a conversation because I already know. If we're talking about workforce, automation, systems, technology, those are my jam. That's where I live, that's where I breathe, and that's where I feel most confident.
I love it. Tell us a little bit about that transition coming from corporate America to starting your own business.
Oh, that is a rough, rocky road. I started my business as a side hustle while I was still in corporate. Then one day I said, okay, I have to choose me. And I walked away from corporate, and I'll be honest and transparent. I think I cried the first 3 months and had these moments like, what did you just do? But then came the clients.
Mm.
Once the clients started coming, I felt this level of ease come over me where it's like, okay, we can do this. And then I'm going to be honest, putting systems in place. So I wasn't up at 3 a.m. writing proposals and sending out invoices and all of those things that keep us from being our genius zone, keep us from not really operating in that level of self that we went into business to do.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about how you actually work with clients. What is it that you do specifically?
So I would consider myself a fractional chief operating officer, so COO.
Okay.
And I work with clients to do all things operations. What does that include? It could be project management, it could be implementation of CRMs or cleaning up of CRMs. It's looking at their workflow automation. Sometimes it's interviewing people if they're trying to onboard a team or putting a process in place to onboard clients. All of those things fall under the operational umbrella. And it kind of starts with a systems audit.
Mhm.
Normally, not all entrepreneurs, but many of us have what I call shiny new object syndrome.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're talking to somebody that you know, like, and trust, and they say, I use QuickBooks. So you go home and you get QuickBooks. And
Mhm.
then they use something else. So you go home and get that. Before you know it, you have a collection of systems that you are not using that you are paying money for. So
Mm.
that's the first commitment we make to a new client. Let us look at your systems, let us optimize it, and maybe let's decommission some things that might save you some money.
I love that. I remember when we had that conversation a long time ago, I found I was probably spending close to $800 a month in redundant software, things that we did not need that were, one thing was doing all of it, and then I had something else that did the exact same thing, so on and so forth. So I know that that's powerful. Cheryl, do you consider yourself a salesperson?
I didn't, and I don't think I like to, but I do. I do consider myself a salesperson now, partially because I have spent enough time with Tish Times. Secondly, it's because as a small business owner, if I'm not going to sell my tool, my product, myself,
Mhm.
then who else is going to do it?
Yeah, so, so true. How do you generally attract new clients into your business, Cheryl?
I do a lot of very intentional networking.
Mhm.
Now, I say intentional networking because when I started out, I was just kind of going to networking events and showing up and getting business cards. And
Yeah,
we all walk away with that stack of business cards that you actually don't do anything with.
right.
But now it's intentional because I'm going to the same spaces. I'm being around the same people and I'm building relationships with them. I am not trying to sell to them day one.
Mhm.
And that has been a significant change. And as a result of that, not only am I getting more clients, but I'm getting more collaboration opportunities,
Mm.
which is something that I wasn't originally looking for, but has been an excellent benefit.
I love that so much. So I had a conversation with attorney Heather Pierce Campbell earlier, and she made mention of the fact how our legal processes, our systems can get us into trouble as it pertains to sales. And I'm going to invite everybody to go listen to that. I'm not going to tell all the goods, but I want to know from your perspective, Cheryl, from an operational perspective, what types of things could potentially get us into trouble as we're selling when we don't have our operational systems in place? What kind of pitfalls do you think we could fall into?
You fall into quite a bit of pitfalls there. I think when you don't have a system that helps you fulfill. So let me explain that. Everyone is focused on the sale.
Mhm.
We get the sale.
Right.
The client has signed. Now what? The
Yeah.
now what? The next step is so critical when it comes to reputation management. You could, and I've seen this happen. You see somebody, they got a podcast, they got a blog, they got 12 books, they got all these things. It looks so professional. And then they have used what I call the duct tape formula on the back end, and there is no system doing those things.
Mm.
So you don't have a calendar link. You don't have something that is sending out the invoice. You don't have something that fulfills, like if you're doing digital products, and you don't have something that asks for feedback.
Mm. Say more.
People miss
Yeah.
that one all the time. After you do a service with someone, you have to ask for the feedback. That's critical. And what happens when I say reputation management, what happens is someone doesn't get something from you in a timely fashion. And let me qualify timely fashion for a minute. Amazon has messed it up for all of us. People want everything now.
Yes.
So we know that. So if they don't get it from you quickly and they're having to chase you, they regret making the purchase.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Both of us working with clients, we see this happening all of the time. So tell us if you would, even if you may not share specifics, but you're welcome to. what role do you think technology needs to play in the sales process as well as the fulfillment process to kind of alleviate some of those gaps and those issues and those potential chargebacks and refunding that may have to happen because we've missed some of those things? How would you direct a client to make sure those things aren't happening?
So I think that number one, we have to talk about the sales process along with the customer experience journey that starts before they become your customer. I think that is a key piece that people miss. The customer experience journey starts when the person hits your website.
Right.
And when they hit your website, that's the first piece of technology.
Okay.
They should be able to contact you, schedule a meeting, download your freebie, whatever the case may be. Those things need to be in place.
Hold on just a second. I'm literally recording a podcast right now. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have to edit that. I was like going like this with my get out. Okie dokie. Go back to where you were.
Okay, so you want me to start the whole question over?
Yeah, just to keep it succinct for
Okay.
Mom. Okay.
Okay. So from a technology standpoint and the sales process, I think that we have to take it all the way back to the beginning of the customer experience journey, which is before they become your customer. You should have technology in place. And when we talk about technology, it's all parts. So your website should be functional. No one's going to buy from you if you do not have a functional website. Right. That begins the know, like, and trust factor. People should have a way to contact you, which means you need to have a booking link. Next step of technology. And then let's keep it going. Now that you've met with them, you should have a way to send them a proposal automatically, to accept the proposal back, to be able to invoice them, to accept the payment, and then again for them to either get on your calendar again or receive the digital offering. All of those pieces of technology should work together and take you out of the loop.
Ooh, say that part again.
You know, as business owners, we spend more time in admin, I think, than we do in our genius zone, in that place where it makes us the money. Yeah. And that's where we need to spend all of our time. Always boil it all the way down and make it simple. Girl, if you bake cakes, bake cakes. Don't be sitting around trying to figure out proposals. And you know, it's a whole nother conversation for another day, but we have to embrace AI.
Yeah. Okay, I want you to say some more about that. How would you recommend someone utilizing it in a way that doesn't take their voice, their authenticity, their customizations, all of that out of the picture, but still help them with productivity?
So I'm going to give you all kind of some of my secret sauce, how I use AI. Number one, I have invested a lot of time in learning how to talk to it. But what I would say is you have to talk to ChatGPT or whatever you're using like you talk to a kindergartner.
That's good to know for sure.
You need to say, hey, I want you to be my social media manager. I would like for you to write me a caption that I'm going to use on LinkedIn. And it's on this topic. And I want it to be funny. And I want it to be like, you need to tell it. Because I mean, it's like hiring an assistant. You don't expect them to come in and know everything. You have to tell them.
That's really good.
And AI is just that. It's your assistant and you have to tell it. Another secret that I'll give you is if you upload something that you have written into ChatGPT, you start to train it to know your voice.
Yes. That part I do know. Wonderful.
So I think it has so many uses when it comes to social media, blog posts, writing email campaigns.
Yes.
Now, I don't think that any AI is the be all end all. I want to put that disclaimer out there, but it gives you a starting point for you to extract and tweak to really make it your own. And
Yeah.
also, I always say fact check it. So if it's giving you any figures, make sure it's accurate.
I can definitely agree. And I'm glad you said that, it's a starting point. It can help us create templates, but we got to go in and add our own, our own
Yes.
personality, even when we tell it about our voice. I love that you're giving people these kind of tips. I want to switch gears just a little bit, Cheryl, because I want, we all know that if we're entrepreneurs, we're business owners, we're in sales, and there are some great things that come with that, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult as well. So tell us, how do you stay motivated to excel in sales, even when you have pitfalls or you have difficult times or even rejection? Because no is part of the sales conversation some of the time. How do you stay motivated to continue to do the things you're doing when things are slower, or things aren't going exactly as you'd like for them to go?
That's a great question because there are what I call dark days.
Yeah, for
There are
sure.
dark days. And I'm a faith-based entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So one of the things that helps me is that I truly believe two things. A no now is not a no forever.
Right.
And I believe that the clients that are called to work with me will come.
I love that.
So keep doing those two things, having those two really strong belief pillars. You know, some people say no, and that's fine. Some people, sometimes I'm glad they said no, because you later find out I didn't want to work with them anyway.
That, oh my gosh, yes. I agree. And I think that when we understand that the people who we're supposed to work with, that I always, there's something that actually my bishop used to say. He used to say, there are some that if you have to beg them to come, you have to beg them to stay.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't want to have to beg someone to come, because inevitably they'll be the ones that you're always having to struggle through the relationship, or there's always going to be additional problems. And so understanding that the right ones that you're supposed to work with are just that, they're the right ones, and the
Mhm.
patience that it takes to get to those people sometimes is really, really important, for
Yes.
sure. She'll tell us about a sales flop that you've had, where you were just positive they were going to say yes, and for whatever reason it just didn't work out.
We don't have enough time left for me. But I'll summarize a story. I had a opportunity to bid on a corporate client proposal. And I met with them. I did this amazing presentation. I learned all about their business. I came in within their budget. I just knew the answer was yes.
Mhm.
She was like, "Oh, go ahead and start getting your team ready, and we're gonna start on this date." I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting. The flop was she ghosted me. I never heard back. I never
That-
heard back. I followed up. I did everything I could. I sent handwritten notes. I did all those things, and I never heard back from her. So
oh.
that is always my biggest flop story. Like some days I still sit and say, "I wonder what happened with that."
I think that happens to all of us at some point. We've all got that person. We all have that person that we were just positive we
Positive.
done deal, and it just didn't work for them or for us, and they just ghosted us. So I
Yes.
get that. Who do you believe, Cheryl, that you're uniquely gifted to serve?
I am uniquely gifted to serve service-based female entrepreneurs who have been in business approximately 3 years, who are looking to get out of their own way so they could scale to their next financial milestone.
Oh, I love that. What kind of things might that person be Googling? They may not know that they need you, but they're looking for something. What are some of the key phrases that they might be looking for even right now?
It could be looking for, why do I have so much turnover on my team? Why can't I retain my clients? Like a lot of people say, I make the sale, but I can't retain them. They could be saying, I have 12 projects and none of them are done. What do I do? And the one thing I say to people quite often is, you cannot get any more hours in the day. So stop asking for them. They are not coming, because how many times do we hear small business owners saying, if I only had a few more hours in the day? So I always say, if you need a few more hours in the day, you need to call me.
I love that. What are some of the ways that you work with those clients, Cheryl? How do you help them to be more productive, to get those hours back in their day, to hire those right people? What are some of the things that you might do with them?
So if we're talking about team management, it's really putting forward the right profile of the person that you're looking to hire.
Mhm.
And there is a mindset shift that often needs to happen, is that especially if a person is going from a solopreneur to hiring people, whether they're contract people or employees, there has to be a mindset shift that allows you to let that person do that thing
Mm.
that you are hiring them to do. Like, oftentimes I see them say, okay, I'm going to give you my calendar, but not really. I'm still going to manage it. So we work with that. We train on time management. Little known fact that we check our email somewhere around 30 times a day.
I believe it.
So every time you check your email, even if you're only in there 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes of distraction from the thing that you were supposed to be completed.
Mhm.
Add that up times the day, and that's a couple hours of time. So we start doing things like that, email management. A big thing is all the admin tasks, sending out proposals, sending out follow-ups, going back and forth with people, when are you available? And all those types of things literally takes up hours in our day that we are not focused on money-making activities.
And
So we try to work on all of those things.
oh my goodness, I'm about the profit producing activities. So it's like if we can get people to be able to have time to focus on those things, then I'm
Absolutely.
there for it. So I mentioned early on that, Cheryl, I've been your client for quite some time. And we've worked together. You helped me through so many various things within my business. But I've seen you shift. I've seen you grow. I've seen you, really change the way that you operate and the way that you do business. So I would like to ask you, if you're willing to share for the audience, who have you had to become to enjoy the level of success that you currently are enjoying in the way that you're doing business now, very differently than you were. I think when you first started your business, you had a very different focus. So what has had to happen on the inside? Who have you had to become to do the work that you do now?
You know, I've had to become a very confident, secure businesswoman.
Mm,
And it's funny that you should ask this question, because I'm actually launching a program really soon. It's called Solo to CEO.
okay.
How to go from a solopreneur to truly sitting in the CEO seat. And I think that I've done that. I've had to become that and understand that as the CEO of my business, there's a different mindset that you have than when you start as a side hustle. You
Yeah.
do not start with CEO mentality.
Mm,
And I think it's a lot of growing pains. I know I've read enough books about it, like really truly understanding the business, how to run the business, and then be able to have conversations with people in the same similar seat. I remember long time ago, I heard the phrase, if you are making the most money in the room that you're in the wrong room.
yeah.
So I had to really get out of my comfort zone and step into rooms with multimillionaires and be able to have a conversation with them. And that has stretched me.
Yeah. Mm. I love that, being willing to get out of your own comfort zone,
Mhm.
because you've heard that phrase that your success really is on the other side of your comfort zone. But so frequently that's the place that we are drawn back to. And I think we're drawn back to that when we're in fear. when we are dealing with our own insecurities. All of those things get in our head, and then we find ourselves going back. So I'm glad to hear that. And I think that people who are listening will understand that that's required. It's absolutely a necessity to be able to move to that next level. And the other thing that you said that I think I'd love to kind of unpack just a little bit in the few minutes we have left is the difference between being that solo entrepreneur for many people and then really being the CEO of your business. What do you think is the biggest thing that has to shift for someone to move from that mindset where they're doing all the things, they're not really clear on exactly, what it is that they should be focused on, to that CEO who knows how to delegate, who operates from a very different mindset? What do you think is the biggest thing that has to change?
Clarity.
Mm.
I think clarity is the biggest thing. Knowing who you are and who you are called to serve. Because, a lot of us, when we start businesses, there is a fear about niching down. You're like, I could just serve everybody. I need the money and I'll just do work for whoever shows up with a check. But when you get clear on who you serve and you can give direction to those around you around how you want to speak, how you want to be seen, how you want to represent the company, then I think that you are shifting into that CEO seat. And you can feel comfortable being there and comfortable turning down some business. I know none of us like that, but it's often the right thing to do. If you get someone and it's not who you're called to serve and it's not in your wheelhouse, sometimes we have to walk away from it.
Yeah, that takes a lot of security.
A lot.
It takes a lot of security, but I think that those who are listening will understand that we all have to get there and be willing to say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things and be comfortable there, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Cheryl, tell everybody how they can reach you.
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Cheryl James, Instagram, I am CL James, and Facebook, I am CL James. My website is cljamesconsulting.com, and you can email me at cheryl@cljamesconsulting.com.
Well, I want to say that for those of you all who are in that place of chaos, who are trying to figure out all the operations parts of your business, you need to reach out to Cheryl James. I know for certain she will take extremely good care of your business. Cheryl, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I so enjoyed talking to you.
Absolutely.